The film opens with an individual who is bald waking up within a cube. Experiencing bewilderment, he opens a square door and finds himself in another room identical to his current location. The door shuts on its own, prompting him to open 2 additional doors on either side of the cube. Upon entering a room with a distinct color, his face and body undergo a slicing process by an imperceptible laser, resulting in his body collapsing into fragments. Subsequently, a man named Quentin, bearing blood on his hands, enters a different cube. Observing another individual from below, he attempts to rouse him. Upon opening another door, he realizes the room has a different color and promptly closes it. The slumbering man, Worth, is now awakened. They both become alert as they hear a stomping sound from another door, which promptly opens to reveal a woman entering. Reacting impulsively, Quentin seizes her and is on the verge of delivering a punch until she screams, prompting her retreat to a corner. Realizing his mistake, Quentin apologizes, reassuring her that he has no intention of harming her. Now anxious, Holloway inquires about Quentin's intentions. He explains that he mistook her for a potential threat. Suddenly, they hear another stomping sound, accompanied by a woman's plea for help from an adjacent room. Quentin swiftly opens the doors, instructing a girl named Levin to cease movement to avoid potential harm. He guides her into the room, where she stumbles from a ladder, accidentally breaking her eyeglasses. Holloway queries Quentin about his fear of that particular room, prompting him to request time for an explanation. An older man enters from the door above, leaving Quentin puzzled by the continual appearance of people. He cautions them against haphazard exploration, revealing the presence of traps in certain rooms, recounting an incident where Levin narrowly escaped danger. In response, Levin, horrified, embraces Quentin. Holloway tends to the injured Worth, who explains that he struck his head. The older man, Rem, uses his shoelaces to mend a hole, ignoring Quentin's inquiry. Red then opens a door, tosses one of his boots into the blue room, and retrieves it with a torch lighter, revealing motion detectors in the walls. Quentin, addressing everyone, questions if they recall how they entered the building. They all assert that they woke up without any knowledge of how they arrived there. Holloway speculates that it could be the work of aliens. Quentin urges them to focus on what they do know, rather than getting spooked. When asked for his opinion, Ren suggests that sitting still won't solve anything, advocating for a straight-line approach until reaching the end. Quentin agrees, emphasizing that if there's a way in, there must be a way out. Worth and Ren caution that it won't be easy, with Ren expressing a sense of being watched. Levin becomes fearful, but Quentin, identifying himself as a cop, assures her they'll find a way out. Ren opens another door, tossing a pair of boots, but nothing happens. Convinced it's clear, the group enters the room with the boots' assistance, and Levin notices numbers while passing through the door. Holloway identifies them as room numbers and drops a discouraging note about surviving without food and water for 3 days, listing symptoms. Ren improvises a solution by having Holloway suck on a button to stimulate saliva. Checking a room with a boot, Ren senses a molecular chemical sensor, preventing Quentin from entering. Quentin questions Ren about his knowledge of sensors, and Ren corrects the pronunciation of his last name, claiming it's French. Quentin recalls Ren's identity as an escaped artist who has evaded prison multiple times. Ren enters another room, hears a clicking sound, and faces a liquid spray that burns his face. The door closes, leaving the group in shock. When Quentin opens the door, they witness Ren's face burned. In the aftermath, Quentin questions the group about their purposes. Quentin is a cop, Holloway is a doctor. Levin insists she's a dull person and an average student, while Worth claims he's just an office worker who despises life. Holloway becomes enraged upon realizing they were forcibly taken from their homes and their rings and jewelry were confiscated. Quentin queries Levin about her glasses, and she explains they are for reading. He then questions why Holloway's jewelry was taken but not Levin's glasses. Levin reads the door numbers and uses math to discover that they have prime numbers, the prime-numbered rooms being the ones with traps. When asked how she knows this, Levin claims to remember all the numbers in each room. Quentin praises her intelligence, and she volunteers to enter the first room, thrilled that she's cracked the code. After checking all doors on each side except the one above, Quentin climbs toward it and finds it stuck. Upon opening, a man falls from it, repeating that the room's color is green before bumping his head on the wall. Holloway suspects him to be mentally disabled and names him Kazan. Levin gets angry at him for nearly breaking her neck and questions how he survived. Quentin attempts to climb again, causing Kazan to panic. Levin, growing impatient, asserts that it's already clear. Holloway enters the room and seemingly chokes, causing panic among the group who fears it's gas. She clarifies that she's fine, she swallowed her button. Kazan makes noises and Holloway approaches him to comfort him. Upon leaving the room, Worth and Levin claim that the room numbers are not prime, indicating safety. Quentin enters a room, but Levin shouts for him to stop as he discovers strings around him. Thankfully, he avoids being crushed but injures his legs. Levin apologizes, still maintaining that the numbers weren't prime. Kazan's loud whining annoys Quentin, prompting them to instruct Worth to quiet him down. Quentin's suspicions about Worth intensify. Despite potential flaws in the number system, Worth seemed to possess knowledge of the trap in the Red Room. Quentin, trained as a cop to read people, becomes increasingly suspicious. Quentin, provokingly, suggests that if Worth hates his life, why not just end it, and opens the door, urging him to jump in. Quentin continues to taunt him until Worth finally exclaims that there's no escape from the place, plunging the room into silence. Holloway presses Worth for an explanation of how he would know such a thing, but he remains silent. Quentin demands to know who Worth really is, and Worth confesses that he built the exterior of the building but knows nothing about the numbers. He was contracted to construct a hollow shell, a cube. Holloway experiences a mental breakdown, urging everyone to escape. Worth tries to explain that there's no one in charge, and it's all an illusion without a master plan. There's no big brother or audience. They are trapped within themselves. He elaborates on the cube's existence, stating that the point is to use it, otherwise it would be pointless. Quentin argues that it's meaningless, and Worth agrees, emphasizing that's the point. They are there because it's out of control. Eventually, he admits feeling relieved. Holloway confronts him, suggesting that the reason he stayed is to confess. Quentin, enraged, physically assaults Worth until Levin and Holloway intervene, emphasizing the need for Worth's knowledge about the place. Levin approaches the fallen Worth on the floor. Worth informs Levin that there's one door where the door guy placed it. Curious about the outer shell's dimensions, she learns it's 434 staffed. Measuring the room, Levin calculates that the rooms could be 17,576 and 26 tall, noticing the numbers provide their location inside the cube. Continuing her calculations, she reveals there are 7 rooms from the edge. Holloway suggests to Quentin that they need to figure out how to navigate around the traps. Quentin agrees to find a solution, emphasizing the need to take risks, with Worth going first. Holloway insists on taking turns. Soon after, they encounter a room below that's voice activated, where a sound can trigger the trap. Levin proposes backtracking and trying elsewhere, but Quentin is determined to try, emphasizing the potential for detours and the risk of getting lost if they choose the wrong direction. Holloway is hesitant until Quentin points out they only have one boot left. They can pass through quietly and make it through. He suggests Worth goes first, leaving Kazan behind due to his unpredictability, which could endanger everyone. Holloway disagrees, asserting that despite their situation, they are still human beings. Kazan covers his mouth as Worth cautiously enters the room, and the group holds together, preventing any noise. Worth descends silently, opens another door, and one by one, each member quietly passes through the room. Holloway waits in the room for Kazan, leading him slowly. Unfortunately, he accidentally turns the doorknob on the door below. As Quentin cautiously enters the room, the door opens by itself and Kazan makes a noise. Quickly, Quentin avoids the spikes and grabs Kazan in fury. Holloway intervenes and they argue, criticizing each other's personal lives. Frustrated, Quentin slaps Holloway. Levin, trying to shift the focus, asks if they're curious about what's on the other side of the door, which according to her calculations, should be the last door. Worth opens the door, revealing a very dark exterior. Quentin suggests making a swing out of their clothes to explore, and Levin being the lightest volunteers. However, Quentin disagrees and Holloway steps forward for her turn. The group holds the rope tightly as Holloway swings to investigate. Suddenly, the building shakes and they lose grip of the rope. Quentin manages to hold on but changes his expression, ultimately letting go. Holloway screams as she falls into the darkness. Quentin informs the group that she slipped, leaving Levin devastated in the corner. Quentin encourages her to stay strong and keep cracking the numbers, emphasizing her gift, to which she replies it's not a gift, it's a brain. Worth suggests they should sleep given the long hours without rest. They all fall asleep for a considerable duration. Quentin covers Levin's mouth and carries her into another room. Levin questions Quentin's intent to leave the two behind, but he dismisses them as mere traps, stating that he and Levin are the keys. He touches Levin inappropriately, causing her to run away. Thankfully, Worth intervenes and pushes Quentin away. Despite Quentin's claims that Worth and Kazan are spies and Holloway betrayed them, Levin discovers that Quentin deliberately dropped Holloway. The three turn against Quentin, ordering him to leave, but he refuses and starts beating Worth. Levin and Kazan, unable to help, witness Quentin push Worth into the room below. However, Worth starts laughing and they discover Ren's dead body in the room. They find themselves back in the room before Quentin's panic attack, and he asks Levin where they are. She claims not to know, telling him to figure it out since he is only panicked. Levin accuses Quentin of being a murderer, and the three lose hope of escaping. Worth opens the door to the burnt room, revealing they are now outside on the edge. He explains that they haven't been going in circles. The rooms are, which explains the sounds and shaking. Levin realizes that room 27 they passed earlier is a bridge in its original position, and the place resembles a giant lock. The lock opens when the rooms are in their starting position and closes when they move out of alignment. They question when it opens. Quentin and Worth read the numbers on each door while Levin attempts to solve the calculation. She claims she could technically identify the traps, but the numbers are enormous, requiring a computer. Quentin urges her to figure it out, fearing death, but Levin argues that the numbers are astronomical, beyond anyone in the world's ability. Suddenly, Kazan blurts out the answer mentally. Levin questions him about other calculations, and he consistently provides correct answers to Worth's inquiries about the numbers in the room. Levin interprets the numbers to mean the room should be safe, leading Quentin to express disbelief that Kazan is a genius. He decides there's only one way to find out and throws Worth inside the room. Quentin becomes increasingly agitated, ordering everyone to hurry and do their jobs, leaving Worth bruised. As Quentin attempts to climb through the door, Levin shuts it, trapping his neck between the door and the wall, causing him to struggle to breathe. Worth closes the door, preventing Quentin from following them. Levin and Kazan read the numbers, formulating a plan to kill Quentin. They let him enter the room, and when he steps on the door in the middle, Worth opens it, causing Quentin to fall to another room with a bleeding head. The three continue entering rooms with Levin and Worth and one and Kazan left behind. They hear Kazan's moans as the cube starts moving. Worth decides to find him, while Levin discovers a piece of her broken glasses, revealing the first room the group was in. Worth locates Kazan and strikes a deal, offering him 27 bags of gumdrops if he hurries. As Levin opens a door to reveal a bridge, they all enter it. Kazan opens another door, revealing a bright light, signifying an exit. Worth, feeling unable to live outside, suggests they go on without him. Suddenly, Quentin stabs Levin in the back, and Worth urges Kazan to get through the door. But Kazan manages to escape through the door, followed by Quentin. Worth stops Quentin from exiting by grabbing his leg, and as the cube moves, it tears Quentin's body apart. Worth lies next to Levin, and Kazan enters the room with the bright light as the movie ends. Subscribe for more videos like these, and don't forget to turn on the bell icon so you won't miss any future videos. If you enjoyed this recap, check out one of these.